No, I'm sure I'll have some fans show up, but it seems like these days I got the Latino community on lock.
Caleb, Armando, he's kind of coming up from middleweight, had a lot of his fights there. Big underdog. It's setting up a fight with Charlo, who's been off for a while. Just how are you feeling about that 2025 being mapped out? I know you wanted Berlanga. He didn't want the fight, but how are you feeling about how it's all mapped out?
Yeah, I mean, I think first things first, just lock in on Armando. Everything else can fall into place. Like I said before, I think so many fighters have, oh yeah, as soon as I beat him, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that, and they're setting themselves up for failure in their mind because they're not thinking about the task at hand and staying focused. And I won't make that same mistake. So May 31st, put on a show, come in at my best. Me and my team been working real hard. We're gonna put a show on May 31st, and then we'll go from there.
I know you're climbing to get back to the top of the division. What'd you think of Canelo over the weekend? Did that look like the same type of Canelo you fought a few years ago? And yeah, what'd you think of that?
No, I don't think it's the same Canelo. Not quite, but also I kind of figured it was going to be like that, honestly. I heard Canelo say in the interview, like, I don't really like fighting guys who move around that much like that. And William Scull being a Cuban fighter, like, I knew he was going to do that. And so was curious to see, how Canelo would handle that. And, he kept the ring off well, but that guy I felt like he didn't really want no part. And it makes for not as appetizing fight, but still got that fight in September with him and Crawford, so we'll see.
With him getting older, does that only, feel like you increase your chance that you could beat him in a rematch, Canelo?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah.
What about Crawford?
As soon as we fought, the next day I'm like, man, if we fight again, I'm gonna beat him.
Yeah,
That's how I feel. I feel like, okay, a few minor adjustments, get the job done.
What about Crawford? Do you think his chances got better, at least the way how you were seeing things heading into his last fight with him and Scull?
I think it's a stylistic matchup, and William Scull don't fight nothing like Terrence Crawford. So we're not going to see the same type of fight come September. I think we're going to see a great fight, real good fight.
You and Terrence have always had like a good relationship, but if he makes Canelo come off the titles, is he on your radar then in the division?
Yeah, I mean, all the top super middleweights are on my radar. I want to face the best, and a lot of fighters say that, but I don't feel like a lot of them have shown and proved that. I feel like I've shown and proved that, so I want to face the best. You had something to say earlier.
Yeah, well, what are your predictions on that fight?
On the
Crawford and Canelo?
Man, I don't know. You may think about it for a second and say, oh, well, there's weight classes for a reason, right? But Crawford's a special guy, you know what I'm saying? And so I think it's going to be a great fight, and I'm just a fan on that one. I just want to see a good fight, and I think it will be.
Caleb, you and Charlo were talking while Ray was doing his spiel on the stage. What are you guys talking about?
I'll leave that between us. Yeah, respectfully.
You know Canelo as an opponent. I'm interested to know, you said you think he's slowing down a little bit. What did you see that makes you feel that way?
It's not anything that I saw particularly in that fight, but just where he's at in his career. I feel like he was almost at his peak, when we fought. And maybe it's been a stylistic matchup with some of his opponents, or maybe he's starting to get a little older. I can't say for sure. We can all sit here and speculate all we want, but I think we'll get a good read on that come September. Against a fighter who's not going to just be moving around the whole time like William Scull, will make Canelo fight, and I feel like it's going to be a good back and forth.
What is that going to mean for your legacy when they look back and say that's Canelo's last real big win? That's obviously his last big knockout too, only knockout. But what if they go back to his legacy and say after Plant, he was never the same?
I don't know. I'm not really trying to get patted on the back for losing. You know what I'm saying? So I came short as a real disappointing moment for me. But I used that as fuel and fire and motivation. Went back to the gym, and like I said before, I feel like some fighters lose and it like shatters their confidence. Whereas me, it's like, well, man, now I'm one step closer to where I want. And so come back, knockout of the year, and falling short doesn't deter my confidence. It doesn't make me who I am. If anything, it does make me who I am. My losses make me stronger. So it's about how you look at it. So, but.
What did you whisper in his ear?
Who?
When you're in face-off, Armando?
Oh, I'll leave that between us too. Yeah.
Do you feel like
It's a secret.
do you feel like you unlocked something new to your style in the McCumbee fight?
Yeah. I mean, over the 18 months, me and my dad had really been working in the gym on my inside game and him and Brad staying in touch, and went out to Philly. Brad came out to Vegas, and but it was me and my dad in the gym a lot, just really grinding, working on that, and a lot of sparring too, like 300 something rounds by the time I came to the McCumbee fight, and it paid off, And I think it's just important to keep smoothing the edges of your game, because at some point you're gonna need that facet of your game that's going to show up in a fight where that's what you need, and so you want to make sure you got all the tools ready for it.
Do you bring that out in the Resendiz fight or just box his ears off?
We'll see.
What are the best attributes of Resendiz?
The best attributes. Well, one, he's not physically, but mentally, he like I said, this is his big moment. He wants it, and so I know he's training hard, working hard, and he's a determined guy. He wants that life-changing moment, but I'm a determined guy too, and I'm not looking to let him take that from me. So.
Caleb, talk to us about crushing the dreams of a fellow father like you are. He talked about it. His family's depending on him. Everybody's depending on him. You looked over and said, I'm doing the same thing. Talk to us about that.
Eat or get eaten. He's going to have to find a different way to get his family right. He's going to have to find a different way to get his family right, because this is how I feed my family. So if you're in the way of that, it's either get step aside or get stepped on.
Caleb,
What
Can we
did
talk
he
about-
tell you during the face-off? He said, I'm not scared, I'm not afraid. Is that what he said?
My Spanish ain't all that, so.
Oh, I thought
Can we talk
Yeah,
about
definitely.
the division picture really quickly? I know you've went back and forth with Berlanga for the longest time. So what do you feel about his chances against Shiraz?
I don't know, probably good. He's just moving up from middleweight, and but who knows? Who knows? That's for them to figure out. And like I said, a lot of times we speculate on things, but fights are for the fighters to figure out when that bell rings. And so, plus with that fight getting announced here recently, I've been locked in camp and locked in on the task in front of me. So I haven't really given it a whole lot of thought, but I'll be ready to see it.
Do you want to make
Excited
sure
see it.
you face the top guys in the division moving forward and not kind of have these tune-up level kind of fights?
Well, I tried to make a fight with Berlanga, and he seems to be part of the witness protection program or something. He don't want no smoke. Everybody here knows I've been calling for that fight, been wanting that fight. Munguia was busy with Bruno. Canelo was busy with Scull, and I may need another win or two to even work myself back in the position as if Canelo wants to have a rematch. And so that left Jamal Charlo for a big fight for me, but he wanted to get active and get busy, and so that left me doing the same, and that was my fastest way to a big fight that I want. So not every fight is always going to be, a mega fight, and maybe I've spoiled some of the fans by giving them people like Canelo, Darrell, Benavidez back to back to back, but it's not going to be like that every time, and so I get to the biggest fights the fastest way I can, and this was my fastest way to a big fight.
Last question, guys.
Caleb, what did you think of Ryan over the weekend? I know you guys have your past, and you've talked about the sport needing to be clean, and there was speculation how he looked with the clean test, not testing positive like last year. Just what did you think of all that?
God don't like ugly. God don't like ugly.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks.